Friday night.
Doctor, attorney,
And now, the official injury law firm partner of the Denver Broncos.
Ramos Law. What makes us different makes us better.
Morning, crew. It is hump day. It is Wednesday. It is January 21st. Thanks for joining me here on Peaks to Plains Weather with Mornings with Meister. And I've got Grand Teton in my mug here this morning. Of course, American Classic Coffee is the official coffee provider of Peaks to Plains Weather. It's an organic roast, and it's kind of on the medium side of things, has a little bit of a sweet afternote. I need your help trying to track somebody down. So as Peaks to Plains Weather was launching, I was doing a test live thing when I was having a couple audio issues, and the first person who joined me on one of the shows here was from Divide, was a gentleman, and I told him I'd give him a t-shirt, but I lost in the social media of crazy of launching the business and being excited about it, that I lost his contact info. So I've got this Peaks to Plains shirt for the gentleman. And if that is you, shoot me a DM. I want to get this to you. I just don't have your name or your contact information. Ah! Oh, man. I feel really, really bad about that, but I want to get it to him. So if you know who that is, let me help him out here. Okay. We've got a lot of weather to talk about, and the exciting stuff is not in the short term here, but I want to take care of you for today because there are going to be some differences between today and yesterday. So the high temps yesterday were really, really nice ahead of the cold front that moved through last evening, and if you were outside, if you were east of the mountains, you probably noticed the breezes that picked up, and we did have some gusty areas yesterday as well. I want to show you this time lapse from A Basin. I just love this camera. It is so stunning. And you see some high clouds coming in here late, and when you get those, you're like, maybe we're going to get a good sunset. Oh, we did. Check it out. Watch this. Coming between 4 and 5 o'clock here. Oh, ready? Boom! Get to it. Right there. Oh, stunning. stunning. How awesome is that? Oh man, so good. I love time lapses. I know I'm a little bit of a dork, but I like them. Behind the cold front today, east of the mountains, not going to be as warm as yesterday. We'll do 40s north of the Arkansas River, right around 50 on it, 50 and 55 to the south of there. And the only kind of concern weather-wise today is the slopes of Pikes Peak in the upper Arkansas River Valley, because we do have a couple areas where I think we are going to catch a little bit of wind. I'll come back to that here in a second. Tomorrow's not bad either, but notice the 30s for highs up across northeastern Colorado. I think we, east of the mountains, hit our highs kind of in the middle part of the day, and we start to come down a little bit ahead of those changes. Today, the slopes of Pikes Peak, like I said, Fremont County, upper Arkansas River Valley, that is where we do have a red flag warning that is in effect from the late morning into the afternoon here, lasting through 6 o'clock. We might get some gusts in some of these areas that are up over 30 miles per hour from time to time. And so that's just something to be aware of. The air is still really, really dry. Dew points will be down in the single digits or maybe even below zero. They were in some spots yesterday. That puts the humidity really, really low. So do your part and help make sure that we all stay safe here in southern Colorado. Hey, if you want to join me on the show here, you can. I put in the post a couple of vmix links where you can come on. If you want to ask questions about this weekend, you're welcome to join me. We can chat a little bit, see if you're excited about the Arctic air and the snow. I have 2 links there. It'd be cool to have 2 people on at the same time. I'm going to do our forecast here for the extended, and then we'll see if anybody has joined me because it is going to be quite a change for sure. So I'm going to start off with the by the numbers. And I really like these because it kind of gives us a full-scale breakdown here of what is going to happen. You see, for Elizabeth, temps in the 40s today. We are in an area where we may not get into the 40s tomorrow. This, of course, up on the Palmer Divide to the east of Castle Rock, about 20 miles or so. And then by Friday morning, look at Elizabeth here. Temperatures down in the teens already. It'll feel like single digits. Clouds will be on the increase, and the wind won't be too bad as of Friday morning in Elizabeth, but for some areas it will be picking up already. Let me show you somewhere else a little bit farther to the east, and it tells the same story of the temperatures dropping tomorrow afternoon from the 40s to around 30. That's as the wind swings around out of the east in Lamar. Of course, if you're new to the area, Lamar, out near the Kansas line on the Arkansas River. And notice what happens after midnight on Friday. The wind starts to pick up. It gets a little bit gusty, and so that has the feels like down to around zero early on Friday morning, and that's when those changes are really, really moving into the area. So let's talk about what is going to bring our changes here. Early morning today, we are fine, but as I widen out the view, you can see here that we still have this big trough over the eastern United States, the Great Lakes. It's been there for, seems like, about 3 weeks now since the start of the year. And we've got little waves rotating around the back edge of it. That's how it's been the last couple of weeks. There is an interesting feature here off the coast of California that really is going to play for a very, very difficult forecast for some of my friends off to the southeast of Colorado here as we move through the weekend. Because watch what happens. We get this next wave to come in. That's what drives the Arctic air. But you see this system coming in off the coast of California? That brings subtropical moisture out ahead of it that is going to go up and over the top of the Arctic air and make for a big mess. We'll have snow in Colorado, of course, and I'll talk more about that here in a second. But man, as we head through Friday night and really into Saturday and Sunday, they've got some big time issues to try to figure out down here because we transition from 60s into the teens and 20s really, really quick on the leading edge of this Arctic air that is going to affect most of the country eventually east of the Rocky Mountains. And here's the mess I'm talking about. So where you see the pink shading, that's right behind the freezing line. And so obviously, right up against the cold front, the cold air, the Arctic air is really, really shallow. And as you get farther away from the front, the depth of that cold air gets more significant. So you have this transition line here that is going to be anything from freezing rain to sleet, and it may kind of move back and forth, eventually maybe transitioning to some snow. And some of this is going to be really, really heavy. In fact, it's off the color scale there of my ice, and so I need to adjust that a little bit. And I want to give you some perspective of the forecast challenge here, because whether it's ice or snow is obviously really, really important. Here's a look at a model forecast of just ice here. And again, Saturday I think is going to be the most impactful day. Now, if it's sleet, it's not as significant as if it's freezing rain, but some of this here is where computer models picking up on more than 2 inches of ice. Obviously, that'd bring down trees and power lines. That would not be good. So that's something to keep an eye on here for sure. And then if you end up with all snow, it may be pretty dang heavy in some, but it would, might have some ice before that gets going. And so there might be a real thin little band here of some hefty, hefty snow amounts. This is a part of the country that is not used to that, not ready for that in any way, and so you can imagine the problems that may occur down in that area. If you're traveling down into that area, I don't advise it. If you can wait until that system is gone, I think that'll help to keep you safe. All right, let's come back to Colorado's weather. So I've got our high temperature forecast on Friday, and this is probably as midnight is occurring east of the mountains here. And you can see with single digits and teens out this way that, the Arctic air will obviously be moving in kind of as the day begins. So, those numbers are a little bit misleading here. Let's watch the temperature move through the first part of the day on Friday, because you'll just see the numbers coming down here. And that's the arrival of the Arctic air. Now, as we move through the day, the temperatures keep coming down here. By noon, we're in the single digits and teens for the actual air temperature, but there's something that's going to add to that and make it, in some cases, very uncomfortable, borderline dangerous to be outside as we continue to bring the Arctic air in from the east. It's real shallow stuff. So on Friday, it's not going to be deep enough to get over La Veta Pass and into the San Luis Valley. And the upper Arkansas River Valley may be waiting for the Arctic air to shoot in from the east. But those of you along Highway 50 in Fremont County will probably see the wind pick up and the temperatures come down in a noticeable way. Speaking of the wind, that's a thing on Friday that is going to exacerbate how cold it feels outside. There's your big word for the day. I don't know where that came from. It just came out from inside me here. But watch what happens as we head through the morning on Friday. These arrows that you see are where the computer model, I have them they don't show up until they get to 15 miles per hour. That's probably the easiest way to say it. And some of these gusts may be between 20 and 30 miles per hour. So you see the wind chill coming down. I'm going to be in the single digits and teens already for the feel up against the interstate, but out across the plains, some of those numbers are going to drop below zero, and eventually that will happen as we hit Colorado Springs in the afternoon. Pueblo, I think we'll get there into early Saturday morning as well, as we still have a little bit of wind out there. So the wind chill, obviously, anytime you get something like this coming in is a factor. Now, if I zoom in a little bit, I want to give you some perspective here, because the farther east you are, the quicker the wind chills drop. And so as we hit the sunrise on Friday morning, we're already starting to head down towards zero. The computer model's probably a little bit too slow in dropping these numbers as well. But notice, wind for a lot of areas over 15 miles per hour. That's what the arrows are showing us here. So if you're going to be outside for any length of time, you need to make sure that you're ready for this. Up across the Palmer Divide, we're deeper into that air mass a little bit quicker. And so even late in the day in Colorado Springs, the wind chills are below zero. And as we head into Friday night, for some parts of the plains, if we keep the wind going, I think we'll have some of those wind chills down probably more than 15 degrees below zero. Let's talk snow. This is one of those situations here with that wave to the west that I showed you. We're going to have this persistent sort of large-scale lift overhead. We're going to kind of maximize it on Saturday. and you'll see that here. But as the Arctic air is coming in on Friday, we'll probably start to pick up some snow that'll be really light stuff over the eastern plains. We may have the first wave, there's actually that second wave approaching from the northwest that gets some snow going over Colorado's high country. So even the areas that don't get the Arctic air will get some winter weather here as we head into the weekend. I think during the afternoon on Friday, we'll get a little bit of a break across the plains, probably still snowing pretty good along and west of the Continental Divide, some scattered snow showers elsewhere across the mountains. And then as we head into Saturday morning, you'll see the snow kind of pick up here across the Front Range, across east central Colorado, and keep some snow going over the mountain areas. And then I think Saturday night, we'll start to get that out of here. And if we have snow on the ground, and we clear the sky out early Sunday morning, maybe below zero in a lot of areas east of the mountains. So that is something to be aware of here. And that is going to be something that I'm adjusting in the forecast in the app here this morning. I'm going to do a big kind of detailed update for some smaller scale areas that I will record after we're done here. And I'll get that up and push that out on the app. One of the things I like doing on the app is being as detailed as possible for you for as many areas as possible. So I'm in there typing lots of stuff out and trying to get you ready for that. Looks like we had somebody that was in the call earlier, but they jumped out, which is okay. I'm going to take a short little break here for a message from one of my sponsors, and I'll be right back.
Phil Long Ford Motor City, we've been around for 80 years. That's like 560 in dog years. Basically, we're the top dogs of Colorado. And thanks to our dealers, selection, and service, we've earned some pretty loyal customers. And our GM, Mark, he's the most loyal guy I know. Even after I chewed up his shoe, it was delicious.
Great trucks, amazing deals, and belly rubs for dogs. Come see why Colorado drives Phil Long Ford Motor City. Hey guys, where's my shoe?
Alrighty, it is time for some of your comments here on this Wednesday morning. I was talking for a while there. I'm going to get a little bit of coffee. One of the things I love doing here is that I can answer your questions. So here's an interesting one. Bambi says, what time are the pet picks? And you know, Bambi, I am going to incorporate more things here over the next couple of months. Of course, I think pet picks probably owned by Fox 21. I shouldn't call it that, but you know, I love animals and maybe we'll do something. You know, a little secret here in the studio. He's not here right now, but later on today, Banjo, the weather dog, may have to start making appearances on Peaks to Plains Weather. He's a little Yorkie, thinks he runs the place. Would you like to see Banjo the weather dog? I could incorporate him. There you go. TNT Taylor says, oh, I was hoping for a spring forecast. Yeah, I don't have that. MJ is on the other end of the spectrum and says, hey, bring the snow. You know, I'm sort of on board with that. I don't love how cold it's going to be, but in little doses, it's okay. But it's not going to be, you know, comfortable to be outside. Nancy says, thank you for adding Westcliff. Nancy, you are very, very welcome. And so, you know, the kinds of things that I'm working on here are sort of like this this wind chill forecast that I showed you, and I'll bring that up here because I'm making many, many things behind the scenes to try to cover as many areas as possible. And so a map like this, you know, lots of towns not showing up on these TV maps, and you know, have lots of snow forecast things that cover these areas. Speaking of snow, I actually forgot to do that in the forecast earlier, so while I have the computer up, I'll just show that. This is going to be a type of snow that is very, very easy to accumulate. Real fluffy, airy stuff. You can just use a broom to clean it off. And so computer model this morning that I think has the best handle on things is a little bit what we call hotter on the snow than what it was yesterday. And so it's bringing more mountain areas over a foot as we move from Friday into Saturday. And it's gotten a little bit hotter up against the interstate as well in the cities where a bunch of people live, still kind of showing that 1 to 3 out across the plains. But Obviously, still some wiggle room to do on this, as I think the bulk of the snow kind of comes Friday night into Saturday. I mean, we're on Wednesday, so we've got, all of today, Thursday. That means 48 hours to go to kind of keep working on that before that snow would move in. So something to be aware of here. But, it's going to give you some impact. It's not going to go anywhere once it falls with the Arctic air coming in. And the snowpack in the mountains is still really, really low. And so we need that in a big way, excuse me. So Travis says, oh, Lordy, Friday's going to be a rough one. Yeah, not fun to be outside. No doubt about that. And one of those situations where I would say, it would make sense to me as a meteorologist and somebody that worked in school districts to maybe not have school Friday, not so much because of the snow that's going to fall Friday, but because of the wind chill. And I say that because, man, I can't tell you how many times over the years in my neighborhood, at my kids' school, as I've gone to schools to do weather talks, and when I worked in a school district, some kids just aren't prepared for the weather. Some of that might be family situations where they don't have the correct gear, certainly a possibility. And I have such a heart for that and compassion for the situation. But some of it is, I think the kids just take off and, mom and dad told them to grab the coat and the mittens or whatever, and the kids might not do it. I see middle schoolers. I saw middle schoolers walking around during blizzards in shorts and stuff sometimes, and that certainly is, up to them, and sometimes you learn life lessons, but when it's dangerous like that, maybe not the time to learn a life lesson. Krista says, I'm in the San Luis Valley near Poncha Springs, and should I head home to Colorado Springs? Well, I mean, obviously winter weather on the way is going to make it impactful. So if you can and you don't want to deal with the winter weather, I'd come home for sure. The wind over the mountains is not going to be terrible, and so you'll be able to get around. I mean, the mountain roads get lots of snow, or lots of snow plows. So, I think you'd be able to make it. I wouldn't mind driving it, but it's one of the harder things for me over the years is when people ask, should I go? Should I travel? My vehicle is ready for that. I don't mind doing it. Some people, you say the word snow, they get freaked out. Cindy's getting ready already. Love Colorado Springs. Cindy, well, I'm sure Colorado Springs loves you too. Carol would love a snow day. Teachers love snow days. I tell you what, teachers, and I can't tell you how many times when I was in District 49, we'd have a snow day, and then I'd hear about teachers going to movies and stuff. It was a snow day. You're supposed to stay inside. There's a reason we don't call it a snow day. Don't want people out on the roads. Jennifer says, great info. Thank you very much. Jennifer, you are so welcome. I appreciate it. Let's see if anybody's joined the call. I haven't looked down there in a while. If you did, I apologize for that. So here's the deal on these calls. The concept is that this is our weather together. And I know some of you are like, I don't want anybody to see me. Maybe you're not ready for the day. I get it, which is fine. But in particular, when the weather is impactful, I want you to help me cover the weather, right? So as an example, there are places in southern Colorado, let me pull the radar up here, where the radar doesn't get back into the mountains because the radar beam can't go through the mountain areas. And for some perspective for you, the radar in southern Colorado is just off to the northeast of Pueblo. So let me pull it back up here and get my color scheme onto the map. But the radar is sitting kind of right out here. So the beam from the radar, when it shoots back into the mountains, runs into the Wet Mountains, runs into the Sangre de Cristos, runs into Pikes Peak. So there's spots back in here where we don't get radar coverage very well. So it'd be awesome to have somebody join the show and be like, hey, I'm in Guffey, as an example. Here's what we've got. Let's look out the front door or out the window together. Parts of the plains where we might know there's some blowing and drifting sometimes, well, show us the drifts. So that's my concept here, and one of the reasons you always have an open invitation to join me. It is 6:55 here on this Wednesday. Obviously, Arctic air is on the way. And Ben says, how much snow are we getting in Colorado Springs? Well, I kind of showed you a little bit about that earlier. I don't want to get myself kind of locked into how much is coming yet. Ben is one of the partners of Peaks to Plains Weather. He owns AmeriDry Restoration in Colorado Springs, and they do water restoration, fire restoration, mold restoration, trauma restoration, which I had a little chat with him about. That's an interesting thing to get into, but sometimes there's a need for that. I'll end with this today. Ben, thank you for partnering with Peaks to Plains Weather. And I invite you, when you have consumer decisions to make, support the businesses that are supporting Peaks to Plains Weather and coming alongside me to get their message out about small businesses. So this is for Ben, since he asked the question here, how much snow in Colorado Springs? It is the type of snow that is easy to accumulate, real airy, fluffy stuff. And we could get, over the course of Friday into Saturday, maybe 5 inches, something like that. That's what I'd say is most likely as we sit here early on this Wednesday morning. So thanks for joining me today, friends. Hope you have a fantastic day. I will be pushing out lots of stuff on social media through the day today. I got a big update. I'm typing things for many areas in the app here. When I have that update done, I'll push into the Peaks to Plains Weather app. As an example here, I'll show you before I get you on the way for today that, okay, get my phone, here's my password, okay. As an example, one of the things I put in the app there, you go to the forecast for my area, is I'm talking about the wind chill. Temperatures will drop during the day on Friday, mainly light snow showers. By the afternoon, wind chills will be below 0. Be prepared. That's for my area. I have my location turned on. So I'm trying to put detailed information like that in there for you. So if you haven't downloaded the Peaks to Plains Weather app yet, you should. Please do me a favor and share with friends. Talk about Peaks to Plains Weather. Ask them to join, to be part of it. It is community-based weather, independent digital weather when you want it. I've got it for you. Peaks to Plains Weather app, peakstoplains.com, social media, Roku TV, Fire TV. You can get the 24-hour channel. I'm there for you 24 hours a day. That's it for me today, crew. Have a good Wednesday. You're watching Peaks to Plains Weather.